Hey there friends, welcome back. Today I am in our home garden and I am going to attempt to support our tomatoes. Summer is just moving along and so are all our plants. Is this a task that should have been completed weeks ago? Yes. Am I totally confident in how this is going to turn out? No, I'm not, but I'm going to try anyway. Let's get into it. First thing we can talk about is Arcages. So these are not your standard cages that you would find wherever you get cages. I don't know. These are produced in-house. So these are taller than a typical cage and just bigger. So these plants really are pretty large at this point, and it's definitely not the ideal time to be doing this. And really I could use an extra set of hands, but I don't have that right now. So I'm gonna try out a little idea I came up with. I'm not sure it's gonna work, but at the very least it'll be entertaining. So let's try. I decided to speed this process up a little bit. In real time, it took me a little over 4 minutes from start to finish, meaning tying up the plant and then putting the cage in place. My bungee cord idea did work pretty well, except for the hooks on the bungee got stuck on the cage as I was trying to get the plant down, and then I had a little bit of a difficult time releasing it from the plant. That wasn't half bad. I'm sure I'll get a knack for it. Okay, now all I've got to do is kind of fluff this plant out, secure the cage to the post, and I'm moving on. First casualty. Poor little bungee. Thanks for nothing. Okay, I have supported about half of my row, and now I'm going to go through and support the tomatoes that do not have cages assigned to them. But there is a method to my madness as far as planting. I've got multiple varieties in this row. Over in the field, I will plant my varieties in blocks, but here, because I don't have cages for every plant, I will alternate in between indeterminate plants and determinate plants. So I'll have indeterminate, determinate, indeterminate, determinate, and say that 5 times fast. And the indeterminate plants are the ones that will get the cages. The reason I break up the varieties or the type of plant is because the indeterminate tomatoes get super tall and they just continue to grow throughout the season. Determinate plants, that's not to say that they stay super small, but they generally don't get like 6-8 feet tall. They fruit differently, in the same way that they grow differently. So this is just kind of a way around using cages on every single one that I found pretty much works for us, as long as I keep up with it. So it is really pretty hot. So I've got string on one side. You can see how that really lifted the plants up. I'll show you here. Basically what I'm doing is just tying off to each post. I run my line down, tie it off, and just keep it going. Now you can see how this support row is pretty low on the plants, and I'm gonna go right through after I'm done supporting the other side. I'm gonna go right through and do another row of support string. Something else I wanted to show you guys is this leaf that I found. This is a tomato leaf, but you can see these little eggs. Those are actually squash bug eggs. So if you deal with squash bugs, you need to be diligent in looking at all the different plants that are in your garden. They are not just gonna isolate themselves to your squash and your cucumbers. I have noticed, obviously, there are more leaves like this on the plants that are near the cucumbers. Like I have cucumbers right there, a whole bed, and then my squash is up at the other end of this row. Those little buggers will just hang out wherever they can. They're really opportunistic, and if you find leaves that have eggs on them, be sure to smush them immediately. If you have a lot of them, I would say just grab yourself a bucket of soapy water, pluck the leaves off, and throw them in there and get them out of the garden. It's kind of satisfying to pop them, because you know you're just keeping that next generation, a little bit of that next generation from happening. Okay, side number 2 is pretty much tidied up. It looks a heck of a lot better to me. I am going to get to work on the upper half of this row, but I think I need a break. Grace, you ready for a freeze pop? Yeah, me too. So if you learned anything today, let it be to support your tomatoes early in the season. That's today's lesson. Don't be like me. Don't be fighting these monster plants. Although I'm super happy that they are looking so fantastic. No tomatoes yet to pick, but we've got a lot hanging on the plants, and that is always a good thing. Thank you so much for joining me today. If you've not done so already, please take a moment to like and subscribe to stay up to date on all of our homestead happenings. I will see you next time right here on Hawn Acre.